They act normal, but something slips through. A pause before they speak, a softness in their tone when it's you, a look that lingers a moment too long. They'll laugh like nothing's different, but their silence, their hesitation, it tells a story words never could. Because when someone hides their feelings, they don't stop feeling. They just start showing it differently. Psychologists call this emotional suppression, when the mind tries to bury emotion, but the body keeps confessing it. You see it in micro-expressions, those fleeting changes in the eyes or mouth that reveal what they are trying to hide. You hear it in the tremor of their voice when they say, "I'm fine," and you feel it in the way their energy shifts when you walk into the room. They'll overthink every message. They'll stay close, yet act distant, because they're fighting a war between what they feel and what they allow themselves to show. But no matter how deeply someone hides their emotions, the truth always finds a way to surface, not in words, but in subtle clues, the kind that only appear when the heart is trying too hard to stay quiet. So in this video, we'll uncover 7 powerful psychological signs that reveal when someone cares for you, even if they'd never admit it. These are not just gestures. They're emotional leaks, signals that slip through the cracks of control. Because sometimes, the ones who hide the most feel the deepest. Sign 1. Their eyes linger, then look away. They look at you just a second too long, then pretend they didn't. It's almost imperceptible, that tiny pause between connection and retreat. But if you pay attention, you'll see it. That moment when their eyes soften, their pupils dilate slightly, and something unspoken flickers behind their calm expression, before they quickly look away. Psychologically, that's not random. When two people lock eyes, the brain's amygdala, the emotional core, activates. It heightens awareness, triggers vulnerability, and for a split second, exposes what the heart tries to conceal. So they break eye contact, not because they've lost interest, but because they've felt too much in too short a moment. In conversation, you might notice it. They'll glance at you mid-sentence, then suddenly shift their gaze to the floor, their phone, or anywhere else. It's as if they caught themselves feeling, and the mind rushed in to hide what the eyes had already confessed. This is the paradox of hidden emotion. The body seeks closeness, while the mind enforces distance. They linger because they're drawn to you. They look away because that draw terrifies them. And that fleeting hesitation, that gentle, unintentional retreat, is often the first silent proof of something real. Because avoidance doesn't always mean indifference. Sometimes it's attachment, trying to disguise itself as control. Sign 2. Their tone softens around you. You'll notice it not in their words, but in the way they say them. Around everyone else, their voice might sound sharp, steady, confident. But when they talk to you, something changes. The rhythm slows, the pitch lowers. Their words feel warmer, more careful, as if your presence gently rewired their tone without them realizing. Psychologists call this emotional mirroring, when the body unconsciously adjusts to someone who feels emotionally significant. The voice especially becomes softer when the nervous system senses safety. It's the brain's quiet way of saying, "You can relax here." Even in casual conversation, you'll hear it. Maybe it's how they laugh more easily, or how their sentences trail off like they're afraid to break the calm between you. They might not even understand why their tone shifts, but their body does. Because tone isn't just communication, it's confession. We modulate our voice to match our emotions, and we only soften for those who make us feel safe. It's instinctive, ancient, unspoken. The body relaxes where the heart feels understood. So when their voice becomes gentler, when even a simple "hey" carries a warmth it never had before, that's not coincidence. That's care revealing itself in the subtlest way possible, because the voice can't lie. It always remembers who makes it feel at home. Sign 3. They remember emotional details. They might forget what day it was or what you wore, but somehow they'll remember the smallest things that made you feel something. Like that song you mentioned once while scrolling through playlists, or the way your voice softened when you talked about your childhood. It's not random. It's emotional memory. Psychologists say the brain doesn't store everything equally. Facts fade, but feelings, they leave fingerprints. When someone feels something in your presence, their mind tags that moment as meaningful. It's not about recalling information, it's about reliving emotion. That's why they'll remember the way your eyes lit up when you talked about something you love, or the quiet way you looked out the window that night when you were lost in thought. These are not facts. They're fragments of emotion their mind refused to let go of. You'll notice it when they bring something up weeks later, casually, softly. You said you liked that song, right? That's not small talk. That's emotional recall, the subconscious revealing who left an imprint. Because attention is the first language of affection, we remember what matters to us and who matters to us. So if they remember the emotional details you thought no one noticed, it's not memory. It's attachment disguised as thoughtfulness. Sign 4. Their emotions leak through inconsistency. One day they're warm, open, almost tender. The next they pull back, quieter, distant, hard to read. You start to wonder, were they pretending before? But no. This is what emotional suppression looks like when it begins to crack. When someone feels more than they're ready to admit, they try to regulate what slips through. But emotions aren't obedient. The more they're controlled, the more they rebel. Psychologically, suppression drains the brain's self-regulation system. It's like holding your breath too long. Eventually, something trembles. That's why their tone changes mid-conversation. Why they go from joking to distant in a heartbeat. Why they text back instantly one day and vanish the next. It's not because they don't care. It's because they do, and they're scared of what that means. Repressed feelings leak in strange ways, through overthinking, irritability, awkward silence, even indifference that feels forced. Their inconsistency isn't confusion. It's exhaustion. It's their mind fighting to stay composed while the heart keeps slipping through the cracks. So when their warmth flickers and their distance feels heavy, look closer. That's not disinterest. It's emotion in disguise. Because when someone is truly unaffected, they're consistent. But when someone's emotions run deeper than they're willing to show, you'll feel it in their inconsistency. Sign 5. They find excuses to be near you. It's never a big gesture, just small, ordinary moments. Oh, I was just passing by. But somehow they always end up where you are. At the cafe, the hallway, the quiet corner where you sit. It's coincidence, until it's not. Psychologically, when someone's heart feels drawn to another, their attachment system activates. The same instinct that makes a child seek safety and closeness. But adults don't say it out loud. Instead, they express it through proximity-seeking behaviors, showing up, lingering, finding reasons to stay near. It's not about what they say, it's about where they choose to be. Because presence itself becomes a form of confession. Maybe they offer to help with something small. Maybe they sit close during a group conversation. Maybe they appear just when you were thinking about them. To the outside world, it looks casual, but to a trained eye, it's emotional gravity in motion. Quiet, magnetic, unspoken. And here's the subtle truth. People don't chase comfort. They drift toward what feels emotionally alive. So when they keep showing up, in small ways without reason, it's not by chance. It's the heart's way of saying what the lips won't. They may not admit it. They may not even realize it. But their nearness, that's their silence saying, I can't stay away. Sign 6. They react strongly when you withdraw. You take a small step back, answer slower, smile a little less, become harder to reach, and suddenly, something shifts. They start checking in more often. Their tone grows uncertain. Maybe they ask if something's wrong, or pretend they don't care, but their eyes say otherwise. This reaction isn't random. When someone hides their feelings, their affection doesn't disappear. It lives beneath the surface, restrained but alive. And when the connection they quietly rely on begins to fade, that hidden affection transforms into anxiety. Psychologically, this is the attachment system responding to threat. The moment emotional closeness feels at risk, the subconscious sends alarms, pushing them to restore balance, to pull you back closer. It's not logic, it's longing. You'll see it in subtle ways. They'll reappear in your messages, laugh a little too loud when you're around, or act overly casual, as if trying to prove they're unaffected. But that overcorrection is the giveaway, because indifference doesn't flinch when distance grows. Only emotion does. The irony? They might not even realize why they're reacting. They just feel a quiet panic. That losing your presence means losing something deeper they've never admitted wanting. So watch how they act when you step away. Because what they don't say when you're near becomes unmistakably clear when you're gone. Sign 7. They show care in small protective acts. They don't confess it outright. They won't say, "I miss you" or "I care." But you'll notice, in the quiet, ordinary moments, that they do. They'll remind you to rest when you look tired. They'll walk you home just to make sure you're safe. They'll wait up until you text that you've arrived. And when you downplay your pain, they'll still remember and check in later. These small gestures may seem simple, but psychologically, they're powerful. Because when emotions are suppressed, they don't vanish, they redirect. For people who struggle to verbalize affection, protection becomes their language of love. It's how the subconscious says, "You matter more than you know." In psychology, this is known as emotional displacement, when hidden feelings express themselves through caretaking and service. Their actions fill the silence their words can't cross. And often they'll do these things so naturally they don't even realize it's love speaking through them. Look closely. It's in the umbrella they hold over you, the jacket they offer, the message that says, "Get home safe." These aren't random habits. They're instinctive signals of emotional investment. Because real affection doesn't always sound like romance. Sometimes it's quiet, responsible, protective. It doesn't say, "I love you." It simply makes sure you're okay. They hide what they feel, but the truth always finds a way through. In a trembling glance, a softened tone. In the quiet care they try to disguise as nothing. Because no matter how much we bury emotion, the heart doesn't stay silent forever. It leaks through our gestures, our choices, our pauses, reminding us that what's real can't be fully hidden. If you've ever felt someone's silence speak louder than their words, you've already seen what hidden love looks like. It's not in what they say, it's in what they can't stop showing. If you believe emotions always reveal themselves, even in silence, subscribe to FactsWorth, because understanding others always begins with understanding the psychology of what we feel.